let's say for example, I'm a small time business owner that's a tradie. I do like
Yes.
pest control.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
I've got like 2 other guys that I employ.
Yep.
And all my time is spent on working in the business because I don't have enough resources, as well as managing these guys because I don't think I've made the right hires. Right.
Yep.
So I'm sorting some resource stuff out. Right.
Yep.
But at the same time, I need to grow my business.
Yep.
I understand what my value proposition is. Like I understand like who my competitors are. I understand all that stuff. But I still have like day-to-day business problems, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to do some AdWords stuff.
Yep.
But I don't have like a crap ton of money to throw around.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't like the idea of using AdWords light. I don't want to just get like some marginal improvement and risk like all this budget basically being burnt if that marginal improvement doesn't come through.
Yep.
What can I do to actually start like getting some sort of traction? Like where can I first what first steps can I take to at least figure out part of this game?
Man, it's a good...
Like just in forms of like some sort of like test or something to figure out a part of the game. Because I understand that if you really want to get the most results, then you need to go to someone who kind of knows that stuff. But if I'm someone who's like really small and I'm in like a really, really like tight situation and I know this is my ticket out,
Yeah.
how do I make some moves in this space?
Man, it's a good question.
Yeah.
It's a good question, and I deliberately stay away from trades.
It's tough.
It is tough. I don't have the silver bullet
Yeah.
for you, but there's a couple of things that I can say, right? I stay away from trades for a couple of reasons. And if you're a tradesman, here's some free advice, right? If you're a tradesman, I guarantee you someone has already talked to you about doing Google AdWords.
100%.
100%.
Yeah.
Why? The reason is, number one, tradesmen rely on a never-ending flood of leads. They have to have leads, right? They're not like someone like me who can pick up an account once every couple of months and have it, it's retainer work, right? They need, like, it's a job that's a couple of $100 and they need multiple of them all the time.
Yeah.
So they're desperate for leads.
Mm-hmm.
If they have the other thing about trades is that if they have a quiet week or a quiet month, they start to panic. Rightly so, right?
Yeah.
Because although if you have a big pipeline of work, generally trades work is not super lucrative. Right? It's not like tradesmen out there are making like $3 million a year. So there's a constant need for new work, and when the work doesn't come in, money is almost immediately tight. So these people are literally prime. They're prime candidates for predatory advertising companies.
Yeah,
right?
and that's why I asked specifically to that
Yeah.
example. Like, how can I avoid that crap? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So essentially what will happen is that the advertising company will come in and they'll say, oh, you need leads, right? Oh, we got heaps of leads for you, no problem. Sign this contract, blah, blah, blah. And then generally what will happen, and this is not really controversial, but generally what will happen with companies that are charging small amounts for advertising management, they'll ship the account off to India or Bangladesh or whatever, right? So it's all offshored, it's all outsourced. And you always get what you pay for. So this is why there's this epidemic of shit accounts everywhere, right? It's because it's being sold off for pennies. These companies don't do any of the work in-house. They'll probably have an account manager who's sitting on, 200 accounts, which is way too many. 200 advertising accounts, which are being operated on by someone who has no idea what they're doing. And the companies operate on a churn and burn basis. So essentially what will happen is that generally in digital advertising, there's a gap between the knowledge of Boris, the basketball salesman, and Andrew, the digital marketer, which is that you have no idea what I'm talking about.
You've kind of sold me on the idea of Boris's basketballs.
You should do it, man. You should do it. Boris's basketballs. I'm telling you, it's $1 million idea. But so there's this incredible knowledge gap, right? Where I know enough, even though I don't know anything. I know enough to confuse you into the point where it's like, oh, I guess this guy knows what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
That means I can string you along for industry average is probably about 6 months. I can string you along, and we're on a monthly retainer, and so generally if it's less than $500, it'll be direct debit. It comes off your credit card, and I'm sitting there doing nothing, shipping the account off to India. They're doing the bare minimum. I produce a automatically generated report full of numbers that you don't understand and ship it off to you every month. I'm like, hey Boris, great results, man. We got all this stuff's happening. Like, you got clicks to your website, yeah. And you're like, yes, clicks to my website. It's only a matter of time. I'm gonna be a basketball billionaire. I am gonna make the basketball website. I'm selling myself on this idea. But eventually, 6 months later, you won't get any results, and you'll be like, "What's going on?" And I'll be like, "Yeah, it's just really tough operating environment. Bullshit." And then you'll quit. Right? So you'll quit. But by that time, the company has already signed up, 100 new suckers, and the circle of life just continues on and on. So that's sort of the fate that like very small businesses suffer. So anyway, I'll try and add some value. That's just a little bit of a. I'm like really passionate about the state of the industry.
No, I
think
that's,
it's just
that's
we've
what I
had
asked.
we've had a lot of conversations about like how thoroughly corrupt the digital marketing industry is, and how it's basically just absolutely overrun with fraud. Just fraud. There's not really any other way to describe it. But yeah, so that was my little passion piece about how shit the particularly AdWords industry is. But okay, so what do? You're a tradesman. You're a plumber. You need leads. I don't think there's any danger in running an AdWords Express account.
Okay.
AdWords Express it's shit. It's not great, but it's okay, right? It's not gonna. You probably won't see much from it, but you'll probably see something from it. And the benefit to running an AdWords Express account is, if you then decide to come and see someone like me, there'll be data in your account. That's really valuable. Okay, so there'll be data in there, which will tell me it will give me valuable insight into what's happened so far that I can use.
And you could also use that data for yourself as well to like learn some things.
Oh yeah, always. Yeah, always. Absolutely. What I would say, so there is one thing that I would say. Like, it's really tricky, right? I'm trying to help the plumber, but I
completely get
it's
it.
hard, right?
And I purposely added that question because I know
I
it's hard.
I want to keep trying. So what I would say is, you're not a digital marketer. You're a plumber. Don't try and be a digital marketer. Right? So don't try and do AdWords yourself outside of AdWords Express, because AdWords Express is automated, right? It's just all automatic. Don't try and be a digital marketer. And this kind of conflicts with the advice that I just gave, which is like, it's sort of like, don't try and be a digital marketer. Trust your supplier, but your supplier's ripping you off. So it's really tough. But it's kind of like to come back to the car analogy, I have a car, it works. Sometimes I need to get it serviced. I don't try and service it myself, because I have no idea what I'm doing. I could probably read some articles on Google about how to service my car, how to change the oil. I could probably do it. I could probably get it done, right? But I'm not going to do that, because I don't know. I'm going to mess it up. I'm going to make some kind of a problem. I'm going to wreck the car. It's going to cost me more to get it fixed, to fix my boneheaded mistakes, than just paying a mechanic to do it for me, right? That would be an important piece of advice. But okay, so what should the plumber do? If I've told them to do AdWords Express and not try and fix their own car, like, what do they do? Okay, so I reckon if I'm working with a plumber and I want them to be the biggest and best in the marketplace, I think that is a product of branding and brand awareness rather than technical advertising. Right. So technical advertising is what I would say what I did for the electronics company. Right. It's going into an already established business that has a brand presence and has a market presence, and tweaking the account from a technical perspective to raise the result, to raise the return. What I would say branding and awareness is okay, you're a plumber. Why are you different? How do you become the go-to plumber? How do you become the plumber that everyone knows about, right? So if you're Boris the plumber, and you're just some guy, you're just a little fish in a big pond full of other plumbers, right? And you're like, oh, I'm Boris the plumber, yay! It's like, it's like, no. What's my angle? Given that this is marketing strategy, right? This is nothing to do with advertising. This is business strategy. This is marketing strategy. So now it's like, okay, well, put yourself in the mind of the consumer. I've got a leaky whatever, right? I've got a plumbing problem. And I'm like, damn it, freaking got a plumbing problem. Who do I call? I have no allegiance to anyone. If I had already seen you on Facebook, on a YouTube ad, on a Google whatever, and you're there just relentless, just like, I'm Boris. I'm in the Ultimo area. I'm your plumber. I'm the guy. I got like here's my resume of happy customers, and you pull in a granny. She's like, oh, Boris, you're so good. He's amazing. He's the best. And just remember when you got a jingle, Boris the plumber. If you've got a problem in Ultimo, come see Boris. Shit, I'm better than that.
There you go, man.
But so okay, here's an example, right? This is a couple of years ago. Walked out to my car that was parked out the front. Went to start it. The battery's dead. Fuck, battery's dead. God damn it. What do I do? I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not a car person. Don't know how to change my own battery. I don't know. Who did I call? Who did I call to change my battery? The one... I didn't Google search. I didn't do anything. I'm like, Lubemobile. Lubemobile will come to you. Call 13 13 32. I called 13 13 32 and Lubemobile came in like 15 minutes and fixed my battery. You know how much it cost me? $280. They ripped me. But I didn't.
But you remember their number.
Yeah, I remember the jingle. I remember the jingle. I remembered everything. Right. I remember the whole thing. But that's an example, right? So Lubemobile got my business because they were out there. They were in my brain. The very effective advertising, effective branding. They got the branded cars and all the rest of it. And this is way beyond. This is not really advertising. This is marketing now. This is marketing strategy now. So I think that if you're a plumber, if you're a tradie, I've talked to a couple of people who are in similar positions. Like for example, gyms, like a martial arts gym.
Yeah.
I'm working with a martial arts gym at the moment, and what I'm trying to do for them is this is help for tradies. You have a territory as a plumber or as a gym, because no one's going to travel like 90 minutes to go to your gym. Right? It's just there's going to be a gym that's closer, right? So you pick a radius. This is the strategy that I employed for this gym, which is working really well, right? You pick a radius. We picked 10 kilometers. 10 kilometers is about 20 minutes. 20, 30 minutes at peak, depending on the traffic.
About that, yeah.
We reckon that's about how far people are going to travel to train. They're not going to train any further than that. And from there, we came up with the next step is enticement. So you can't just be like, we're a gym, yay. It's like, okay, what are your angles? Who's your customer demographic, persona targeting, persona definition. Come up with targeted messaging for each different persona. Okay, so there's going to be girls who want to just train to get fit. There's going to be guys who want to train to become fighters.
I think what you're saying here is like pure gold. Because to me, whenever I speak to people who are like thinking about running an AdWords strategy or whatever, they haven't thought about this stuff.
No, and that's why they end up burning all their money and getting taken advantage of by sharks.
This isn't necessarily like a marketing thing, right? It's not. It's like understanding your business.
Right, it's business mechanics 101, really.
Yeah.
But if you haven't done any of this, there's no point advertising. What's the point in advertising if you haven't actually thought about who your customer is? It's kind of like the other example I use this in. If I pitch you, I'll probably tell this story. So let's say
we're just gonna save you some time.
So let's say that Boris, you're running Boris's barbecue restaurant. So
Sure.
you've given up the basketballs. It didn't work out.
I love all these names, man.
It didn't work out because nobody wanted the basketballs, unfortunately. But they love barbecue ribs. So Boris's barbecue ribs. It's a restaurant that you've started, and so you hire me, not as a digital marketer. I'm a sign holder on the street, pamphlet guy, right?
The flip sign guy?
I'm the flip sign. I'm doing the pamphlets, and you send me to the nearest street corner to your restaurant, grand opening day. And I'm like, Boris, I'm the best sign flipper, pamphlet guy in the world. I swear to God, I'm going to drive people like you don't even understand how many people are going to come to this restaurant. You're going to be overrun. So I start handing out the pamphlets. I'm like, yeah, Boris's barbecue restaurant, awesome, barbecue ribs, Boris's. And everyone's like, oh my God, this is amazing because I'm so good right now. Oh my God, we want the barbecue ribs. And so people flood into your store. Right? People flood into your store. And I'm like, sweet, I've done my job. Then at the end of the day, I come back, like I've done like grueling 8-hour day, I'm sweating, I'm tired, my hands are sore from flipping the signs. I come back and I'm like, Boris, we must have made a killing. Like, how many customers did you get? And you're like, 0, no customers. I'm like, what happened? And I look at the restaurant and it's ruined. It's like there's shit all over the floor and the paint's peeling off the paint's peeling off the walls, and it's dirty and it smells bad. And Boris is in there without a shirt on, might actually enhance your... But, it's like, it's ruined, right? The store's horrible. And and I'm like, well, no wonder, man. Like, what's going on with your restaurant? And you're like, no, you're a terrible advertiser. You didn't flip the signs well enough, and you didn't hand out the pamphlets well enough, and, it's your fault, and you're fired. That actually that scenario, as ridiculous as it sounds, happens all the time, right? People come to people like me and they're like, I want to advertise on Google Ads, and I'm like, all right, cool. And so, I like people who, this is sort of before I did the consultation piece, or before I did the strategy piece. I just advertise. I wouldn't think about the strategy, but like, okay, well, here's the offering and here's the thing, and I'll just drive the traffic and see how we go. And it would always fail. And what I'm talking about, with the plumber example and this example is, if you haven't thought about your business strategy first, there's nothing I can do for you, right? I might be the best sign flipper on the planet. I might be the best advertiser on the planet. I might set you up the best Google account on the planet, right? I'll get you amazing cost per click. I'll get you perfect traffic quality. And then they'll come to your site and they won't buy. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how good I am. And that was when I realized, I'm like, wow, this is sort of like a entrepreneurial lesson, really. It's like, man, I gotta pivot quick because I'm failing. Like, I'm not producing the result. People have an expectation of me that I'm gonna like make it rain, be this guy. And I'm powerless. I'm powerless to do that. I can't do that. Right? There's no point sending good traffic to a shit product. You can't save a shit product with good traffic. You can quote me on that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, yeah. So that's, I don't know how we got there, but that's probably the most important takeaway for people who are like, oh, we've got a Google Ads expert on the podcast. I want to learn how to make money with Google Ads. It's like, no, put it down. Put the Google Ads down. You can't make money with Google Ads more than you can make money with like handing out flyers.
Yeah.